Welcome to Overcome Words for You by Bruce Etheridge. Today I will share with you my special Mother's Day podcast. It's going to be a little different, and I have an exciting announcement to make about a special project. Let me explain. Dr. Karen Lunkin and 10 other writers, including my wife Rhonda Etheridge, band their talents together to write a book honoring their mothers, sharing stories from all the mothers born during the Jim Crow era. What a great idea. Led by Dr. Karen Lunkin. You see, it's an awesome project and a must-have book. I'm so proud. The title of the book is Stories About Mama, Embracing Her Legacy and Honoring Her Life. Man, I'm so excited. Well, today's podcast will focus on my interpretation of the unique story that my wife shared. I call it Rhonda's Words. Here we go.
Kamisha Jackson on the bed.
Well, today I want to share a story with you about a little girl's journey. It's a powerful story, and it began like this. The receptionist scrambled and began pulling records to verify that the lady standing so proudly and waiting so patiently on her child was my mother. She hurried and searched the files and trays, looking for some type of connection to match the shame and rejection. You see, my mother came to the school to pick me up, but it felt like a stick-up or maybe even a hold-up. She was my parent, so she had permission to pick me up. She had her own permission. It seemed that her color required an analytical revision from a special edition. The school's receptionist didn't believe that the olive-complexioned woman was my mother. Her beautiful fair skin wasn't so fair in the world that I lived in. Hidden rules that confused because of two different shades of color that confused. Can you imagine the surprised eyes whispering, how did this white woman and the darker skinned girl connect? Separated with a racial lens that was more accepting to reject. You see, the bigger story is how the woman/mother standing there, well, how did she get there? It is a story of family, sacrifice, and faith. A highway of breadcrumbs left for me to find my place. Well, when the secretary came to retrieve me from the classroom as if she was in a race, I remember she whispered something to my teacher, and I also remember my friends laughing at my teacher's perplexed face. My mom was standing outside the front office as we approached. The secretary looked at her and stated, "Here she is. We can't be safe enough these days," with glaring eyes staring at a seemingly unbelievable maze. My mother was a proud woman. She taught me to be a leader and to be proud and not to be so loud. But it seemed that the world that I faced every day was forcing me to follow a dangerous and different crowd. As my classmates transitioned to their classes, I could hear them whispering and laughing. Ooh, she got a white mom. Ooh, her mom is white. And at that moment, I resented her for coming to my school. I was thinking it was a dangerous and unnecessary flight. She taught me and sacrificed so much, which is why today I stand so proud. I understand now her greatest achievements resides in her sacrifice and also resides in the floating clouds. You see, it happened in front of my classmates, my world of secrets, revealed in embarrassing cheers. Did she know how hard I had to work to make myself invisible, the ridicule from my peers? But it never stopped the tears. You see, when I started elementary school, I was ridiculed and called red bone, yellow hammer, and even a white girl mocked my racial inheritance. It seemed that everyone tried to get in a shot, including the damage to my psyche. It never stopped. But when school came around the next day, my classmates began to question. They questioned if my mother was white or if she was just light. To my embarrassment, I denied the woman that picked me up. I explained that she was my mom's really good friend. She was a friend picking me up so that I could safely fit in. I felt bad for denying my mother, the woman that gave birth and loved me and nurtured me to the strength of no other. Undeniability in my infancy of becoming comfortable with my multiracial heritage. I felt ashamed of what I had done. It was a broken marriage. It was wrong. However, by the end of the school day, I had convinced myself that my actions was warranted because I had to get away. But the truth was, I was protecting myself from a sad and embarrassing day. Reflection on this incident, I'm drawn to Proverbs 16:18 that warns, pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Interesting, my mother would recite all of these passages, especially if someone was thinking too highly of themselves, pretending to be tall. You see, denying my mother that day was one of the times I allowed my desires to fit in. I was trying to protect her from my classmates because of shenanigans and immature grins. Well, I was a little embarrassed because they couldn't see past her skin color to embrace the purity and the beauty of the woman that was better than any other. So I felt compelled to shelter my mother from my classmates' taunts. Well, if you know anything, that type of protection is going to leave you feeling empty with regret, a regret that continues to haunt. Question: how did she get here? What is her story? You see, at 19, her father granted permission for her to marry without a proposal, speeding up the process, her dreams, her choices ending in such a position of disposal. It was a sign of the times. You see, back in the day, men made the decisions that was best for the family without revisions. My mother conceded the speed without disrespect or shame. Honor thy father and thy mother. Whatever the request was the message that was claimed. Yes, I loved your father, but I wanted to wait and achieve some of my things. But God laughed, it seemed. You see, he has the final say to everyone's dreams. 60 years of marriage, 4 children. Although dreams of attending college were sacrificed, her certificate in Bible studies she used to disseminate guidance, integrity, honesty, and godly advice. If you want to know who you are and why you're so prone to do some of the things in your life, study the path of mothers as she shelters and protects with the precision of a carving knife. Mothers define who and what we are, as well as how we show up in the world more than anyone else. The key to the little girl's journey was to discover her mother within herself. I believe Malcolm X said it best. He said, the mother is the first teacher of the child. The message she gives to that child will give to the world. Mothers are the givers of life through God's divine design, and they protect you from worldly strife. You see, mothers are the interconnection to our future and our past. Our mothers pour into their children all that they have so their journey can last. The connection of affection.
My mother poured into her children all that she had while living in a society that did not respect or acknowledge her as an equal human being. Growing up in Texas was not a desirable or ideal environment during an era in which our country's history had created communities full of discrimination, racism, sexism, and a climate of political extremism. It was even more challenging for women, especially women of color. Her children were her gift the world had given her, and safeguarding them from the harsh past while preparing them for a future she imagined became her purpose in life. My mother's stories shared with me helped shape my life and mold the moral values I hope to pass on to my children. When I feel like nothing is going right and I have lost my path, memories of my mother guide and help me to keep moving forward. My mom desired more than anything to be a mother, but had difficulty conceiving.
But true to her journey, it never stopped her from achieving and believing.